Hi, thanks for joining me. My name is Josué Menjivar. I'm an illustrator, cartoonist, and designer living in Vancouver, British Columbia. I also proudly teach in the digital and print publishing program at Langara College. So today you'll learn how to make a quick and easy ePub and also a more advanced interactive fixed layout booklet. So the EPUB will be just really easy, quick and dirty. Just grab your artwork, put it into a file, so then it's easily opened in any tablet or a desktop computer. But if you want to add interactivity to your comic, we're going to do this kind of thing right here. So this is my tablet, and we have a typical comic that I just made here, and you will see that I've enhanced it by adding just some simple animation to my comic book. Okay, so there you go. This, I added sound to it. We'll talk about that. Then I added some animated GIFs into the page, and there I have a complete interactive comic book. And that's what we're going to do today. All right, so let's get to it. So once you've made your digital books, or you've purchased digital books, you can view them either on a tablet or a computer. If you have hand-drawn art, you would need a scanner, and then you put it onto the photo editor. If you are doing your work digitally through a tablet or Wacom, then you still need to export those images onto a photo editor such as Photoshop or GIMP. So there's a couple of options for photo editing. You necessarily don't have to use Photoshop. I'll be using Photoshop in this tutorial. So in order to create advanced digital books or ePubs, for e-publication, you would need Adobe InDesign to do some animation, to drop in some sound, and to do any other things with it. The Calibre ebook reader and editor is an excellent application because it is free. It is both for Windows, Mac, Linux, and what you can do is you can edit your EPUBs. In other words, change the file format, change the information, export it to Mobi, which is the extension for Amazon Books readers, like an Amazon Kindle. So it has some really cool, strong features, and it's absolutely free. But also it has just a simple book reader, ebook reader, which you can read your comics in. In order to see the interactive ebooks, the one that I was showing you earlier, Adobe Digital Editions is pretty good to read them too, because they do accept all the effects that you create within InDesign, and it's absolutely free. So before we begin doing our digital book, I always recommend that you design for print first. Remember, print has a higher resolution, and images on screen have lower resolution. Even if you don't ever intend to print your book, it's always a good idea to do it at high resolution. So it's the same thing if you are drawing on your tablet. Make sure in your settings that you make all your files as high resolution, as high as you can. That way, when you draw, everything is just really crisp, and then you can fix it in your photo editor. So once you have your high-res images, you just make a folder, and I generally tend to make my folder, and I give it the year that I did the comic, and then I just title my comic, the title of my comic, and then I include a hyphen and then print. Okay, so these are, again, files all for print. And again, even if you don't ever plan on printing your book, it's just a good idea to do it that way. And the reason why is because imagine that you do a great digital book, and then a publisher looks at your comic and says, hey, I'd like to print it. Then you're saving yourself the trouble of having to rescan or If you did it all on tablet with low resolution, you'd actually have to draw it all over again. So this is why I always set everything for print. Okay, and then so once you have all these high resolution files and you're going to start doing your digital book, all you have to do is open those original scans that you have at high resolution, and you downsample the images in order to make them smaller file size. I've created this workshop files folder for you. It has all the assets you'll need to create this simple book. The first folder up here is the Vancouver Quick and Dirty ePub folder, and all that has is just all the scanned images, as if you were like, pretend this is your comic and these are all the pages after you've scanned them and they're ready to go. So here they are. We're just going to throw these together and we're going to make a simple quick and dirty ePub. So everything's already set there for you. I'll show you how to do that first. The next folder that we have here are the workshop assets for students, and this first folder is just the naming convention of how you would produce your digital book. And then we have some animation tutorials where there's a GIF, there's some files here for working, and we'll talk about that when we get to that. But everything that you need to produce this book will be there. And what I've done for you already is, if you remember, in the workshop files that I've created for you, I have a folder in here called Workshop Assets for Students. And in there, I have a folder up here called 2020 Speak Softly Digital. This is how I name my files. So when I make a folder, which would be this one, from scratch, I would title it year, just so then I know what year I did it in. The book title, so in this case it's Speak Softly, that's the name of the comic, and then this is the digital book. So that way I know this is the digital book, and all my files in there would be low resolution. So that's how I sort of create my master folder, okay? And it's sort of the same process that you would if you're starting from scratch and you're doing a print folder as well. All right, so now we have inside the book, you would have, when you're starting, you create this folder. You would give it the book title. So in this case, I just wrote Speak Digital, because I want to make sure that this is the digital version. This will remind me that all the images in here are low resolution, so as not to be confused with the print version. If you are making the quick and dirty ePub, this is all you're going to need. If you are going to be making the interactive fixed layout ePub using InDesign, you might include in this folder the links and the InDesign document. Inside the links folder, you would have a folder called Art Pages. This is where just only the artwork of the pages would be, already scanned and processed and everything. And this is the folder that you would have if you were just doing a quick and dirty one. The images in there would just go in the links folder by itself. When you are making a fixed layout book, you'll have animation. So I make a folder for animation. I will have a folder for audio files because I'm putting sound in my book. And then I'll have a folder titled Extras. So let me show you what that looks like. In here, I have my links. And remember, as I said, just going backwards, we have the master folder. That's where everything would go at the beginning. If we're just making a book that is just going to be a simple PDF or JPEG files that we're going to create into a quick and dirty book, then this is all you need, and you put all the scans of your artwork in here, and that's it. You're done. If you're doing an interactive book, then you would want to have this, which is the art pages, and you can see here, this is what I meant for the quick and dirty. This would just be the art pages. They're all low resolution. We would have an audio file. I have a rain sound that I want to put in, so that's what that is. I also have an extras folder, and what the extras folder is, remember this one, the first folder here is called art pages. This is where I have all my artwork, the pages, the actual pages that I'm putting in the book. But I might have things like just an extra behind the scenes shot or something. These are extras. I have the logo, the company logo, so then that's put in there, and that's in my extras folder. And then finally I have folders, a folder for animation files. Remember, I'm going to animate my book, so what I'm going to do is I've already have these assets already done for you, so you'll just have to grab them, but I'll show you how to produce them anyway. But here are all the pieces that I will need to animate pages. So it's completely different than just the pages that are the full scans. You see that? These are the actual pages going into the book. The other one are just assets, extras, pieces for animation, and sound files. And pretty much that is what you have here. So inside your links folder, you would have all these extra things if you're making a fixed layout ePub. If you're just making a quick and dirty one, this is the only one you will need. If you are making the fixed layout, then you would have an InDesign file, and you'd then export the InDesign file to an ePub, and that's what you get. Once you have the images created, whether you've scanned them or exported them from your tablet, you still will need an image editor in order to crop them or to downsample them for a lower resolution. The naming convention I use when I do my scans is the title of my comic, for example, so mine is Speak Softly, the issue number, which is the first 001, in case I'm doing a series. Then it might be that I have multiple issues, so that way it's clear what issue this scan is for. And then the last 3 digits is the actual page number. The cover, I always make sure that it is 000. So that's the very top one. That will be the cover. After I've named my images, as you can see here on the left, I have my cover 000, my first page, which would probably be my copyright page, and then page 2 is really the first page 1. Put everything in my links folder, and I'm ready to go. Keep in mind that North American standard comic sizes are different than European comics, and also different from sort of graphic novel sizes. When you're doing digital though, you can make your book, your pages any size, because it's just digital, so you're not restricted to certain sizes or paper sizes that can go on a press. Now we're ready to do the quick and dirty ePub. In the workshop files folder I created for you, you will see a folder that says Van Calf Quick and Dirty ePub. Inside there, that'd be the links folder, and this would be the main title folder. So it'd say 2020, your title, digital. That's what it would say. And then inside there, a links folder with these assets in there. So in order to make a quick and dirty one, all you have to do is select all these and then zip it. That is it. So I will demonstrate it. So here I have Windows open. I'm going to go to my workshop folder, and there's my Van Calf Quick and Dirty ePub. I open that, and inside I see all my pages. I do have an animated GIF in there because some comic book readers, not all, but some comic book readers do honor animated GIFs. Okay, so now I will select all these pages in Windows, and same as in Mac. I right click, and in Windows you go to Send to, and then Compress Zip Folder. And there I have my zip file completed. Now that I've made my zip file, all I have to do is just select it, and I'm going to change the extension from zip to CBR or CBZ, one or the other. Remember, CB stands for comic book, the R is RAR file, CBZ is comic book zip file. And then it will ask me if I want to do this. I say yes, and there I have my quick and dirty ePub. Now that I have my ePub ready, I need to view it. So I can do it a couple of ways. On a PC, I could use Cover. That's a good free app. So I'm going to open it in Cover. And this is on a PC, and this is a free app that you can get through the Microsoft Store. And we can see here that my comic book is ready. If this was a tablet, it would look great. I can see that it honors animated GIFs, so that's really good. And there's my comic book. So that's the quick and dirty way to do it. There's also another app called Calibre that's both free for Windows and Mac and Linux. I could actually drop this in here if I want, and then just drop it in there, and then I can read my book here. The advantage of using Calibre, I like Cover for reading just comics once they're done or when I buy them, but the advantage of Calibre is that I can actually edit things. So for example, this is my title of my comic, and with a quick and dirty file I don't get a chance to put in the metadata, so I can actually go up here to edit metadata, and then I can actually put my name on here. So I could go Josue, right, put my last name on there. The title, right, it just speaks softly, #1, right, so that's really it. I can change that, and then I can just put copyright information, that kind of thing, and then you can see here how you export it. So I kind of like that. I'll just go OK, and now it would look pretty good on an ebook. You can see here how it already now incorporated the information for me. So that's really great. So that's how you do it on a PC, and I'll really quickly just do it on a Mac now. All my pages, I made the CBR file, but this time I'm going to do a ZBZ file. So I'm going to select this on a Mac. I will right click, I'll go compress 8 items, because that's 8 things that I've selected, and I'm just going to name it, right? And then I'm going to change the extension, and this one I'll make CBZ on it, and I'll go yes, and I can open it on a Mac with a free app that's really good called Simple Comic. It's free. You can get it through the Apple App Store, and you can see here that there's my comic, and it also honors the animated GIF. And so that's the quick and dirty way to do a quick ePub. Something to note, if you had all PDFs of your pages instead, you could, in Acrobat or some other PDF app that supports it, you could combine all those PDF pages into one PDF, and that itself is an ePub there. It's an electronic publication. That's what an ePub stands for. In the VanCaf workshop files folder that I created for you, so you remember in here we will have different items, which I've already made for you, so you don't have to do it. We already have the pages already in there. We have the audio files, the extras, and the animation. So let's get started with InDesign. So let's open InDesign, and we will create a new document. We want to make sure that up at the top here we pick mobile, so then that way our settings are RGB. That's for screens, color for screens. I'm going to use the standard comic book size. So what I'm going to do is, even though it's in pixels, I'm just temporarily, I'm changing it to inches. And then I'm going to do the standard size. So the width is 6.63 inches and the height of a comic book is 10.24 inches. I want 8 pages. I can always add more if I want. I will then adjust the margin. And margins are important because even if you don't use them, they give a good frame on the page. If you don't use them, you'll see like in some comics where the artwork just goes outside, extends outside past the page, that, you know, even though it doesn't look like there's margins, when they laid it out, there is margins in the actual document. It's just good to have. And I kind of tend to use 0.25 inches for a margin or 0.5 for a margin. And then usually I give my bottom margin a little bigger number. So I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. And what I want is I want this to be 5.5, and then that one 0.6, this one 0.5, and this one 0.5. So that's how it is. My top is 0.5, my left is 0.5, my right is 0.5, and my bottom is just a slightly bigger margin. And the way I did that is I unclicked that chain link. That way I could actually customize each individual side. If I do this all the time, if I'm going to be making this over and over again, I don't need to set this all up. I could just go up here to the top right, this button here, and I could actually create a preset. So I could call it my comic or something like that, my digital comic, and then click on that, and I've saved it. So that way each time it would appear here, and then I have to just click there and I have my settings done. But for now, let's just create. Okay, so here's our page, our document. Let's give it a name right now. It says my comic because that's the preset that I created, if you remember, right? My digital comic. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to navigate to my desktop where I have my folder, Speak Softly Digital. And remember, all that's in there is my links folder. I could just call it 2020 and then digital. So now, just like in my slides, I now have the InDesign file and the links folder. This right here is just memory, remembering what I'm doing here. So if I crash, it remembers the last thing that I did. That's what this file is. As soon as I close this file, this will disappear as well. So those are the elements inside my digital folder. Okay, we're ready to do our layout, but before we do, I just want to quickly talk about the basics of InDesign for those who've never used it. InDesign is a page layout program. So here on the right, we have our pages, and all our pages right now are blank, you know, but once we start putting things, that's our book. So that's one thing to know. This panel you'll use a lot, the pages panel. You'll use the layers panel a lot and the links panel. So when you first open up InDesign, it pretty much is looks like this because these are the most important ones on this side over here. On the left side, we have the tools, and the ones you'll use the most are most likely the type tool to create text frames. You will have the picture frame, rectangle frame here, which makes pictures. You see the one with the little X on here. That's where you place them. And then we have the selection tool up here at the top, which is how we select something and move it or drag it. We're going to use basically the text tool right over here. We'll use the rectangle frame tool, and we will be using the move tool. Those 3 items we'll use the most, and then we'll concentrate on these panels over here, the pages, layers, and links. Let us put in the cover. Since the cover is our first page, we are over here on this side. On the left, I'm just moving this a bit over here like this so we can see this. And I just want to see the pages panel, right? So there's my pages panel. And what I want to do is I'm going to remove the stroke here. I don't need that. I'm going to remove the swatches because I don't need that right now, or the color, and that way I can just have my layers, links, and pages on there like that. Okay, now that we've gone over the tools, let's talk about the layers panel up here on the right side. So the layers panel is very important because with fixed layout books or ePubs, you have to have two layers. One layer would be for the text and one layer for the art. So if I double click on that layer, I will have that, and I'll just call this text, right? And then I'll keep that there. And then I will go down here to the bottom to that little plus sign and create a new layer. So now I have layer 2, I double click on that, and then this one's going to be called art. I can drag them, and I'll just put the art below the text. The text should always go on the top and the art at the bottom. Now let's go back to our pages panel, and notice here's all our pages. So now we're going to place our first image, which is the book cover. Let's go to up here at the top of InDesign, let's go to File, Place. You go to your desktop where we have our folder, right? Our comic book folder called Year, Title, Digital. And we go inside, and remember, we just have the links and the InDesign folder. Let's go to the links folder, and remember, we have all the art pages. So the first one is the cover. Remember, that's our cover. So let's select that and go open, and then we will just place it at the corner there, and there's our cover. Okay, let's get started with the copyright page. This is page 2. So we're going to place the text that I have provided for you. Remember, in the folder that I made for you, there it's sitting loose right here, copyright info. Well, all we have to do is bring that text into page 2. So let's go back to InDesign just to show you two different ways to bring in either images or text. One way is, well, you can create the text yourself, and you can just go up here on the text tool and drag and then just type in text. So you could go, copyright, right? And you can type all the stuff. So if you don't have any text provided, you could just type it yourself. So that's one way you could do that. Another way is if the text is already written for you, maybe you have an editor that did that, or you're designing a book for someone, then you can bring in the type just like you did with a photo. So we go to up here to File, Place. We would navigate to the desktop, right? And we go to the desktop. We navigate to that folder, Speak Softly Digital, and you can see that I have that copyright info there for you. And you could just go open. And then we just drag to the side here, and there is our text that we brought in. So that's one way, right? I'm going to select out of that by clicking outside of this text box. I no longer have this selected. I can also go to that same folder back on my desktop over here and double click on that, and I can actually drag the text over. So there it is. There's a new text frame. I would just push it down, and there's my copy. So it's two ways to do it, all right? And two ways to bring in text, and the one way is to type your own text. So I'm going to delete this extra one, and know that when you're designing in InDesign, you can't see it, but it comes already with a text frame for you already. So you don't have to use it. I usually, like in this case, I'll get rid of it and just use the one that I brought in. All right, so there I'm putting it here in the corner, and I'll talk a little bit about the copyright page. You can see that if I double click on here, I can see up at the top up here what font I'm using and what the size is. So this is 14 points. Copyright pages, the type is small, so I'm just going select all. And then up here, I'm going to change the size to something more easy. Copyright pages is generally smaller, the type, so this is 9-point type. And I'm going to put it down at the bottom. And I will zoom in, and so here you can see what goes in a copyright page. It's important to put the all rights reserved, because what that means is that the copyright holder, that's you, retains all the rights to your work provided by the copyright law. So if a producer was interested in adapting the work into a film, or a publisher in Japan wanted to acquire the rights to publish a Japanese translation of it, they would have to contact you because you have all the rights to it. Also keep in mind that with copyright, it is valid for the entire life of the creator, that's you, plus 70 years in the United States, and in Canada it is 50 years after you're dead. And then you generally have your contact information. So we're going to put, right here you would have your publishing house, but we're going to put the logo as well. So I'm going to double click and insert some space right here like this, right? Just so then that's there at the bottom. And I'm going to place the Van Calf logo on here. So remember, the way you place a file, whether it's text that's from someone else or an image, you go up here to File. See, we are doing the same thing over and over again. File, Place, and then we're going to our folder, our links, and remember, it's not pages that we are putting in, we're putting something extra. So we're doing the Van Calf logo, we're just going to put it there, and we're going to click outside of the page, and there it is. Now, it's too big for us right now, so what we could do is we could select this corner over here and then hit Control or Command on a Mac, Command Shift or Control Shift, and then let's just reduce it proportionately. Alright, so let's just go here and then just bring it down, holding the Command Shift on a Mac or Control Shift on a PC, and there I've put it right on top there like that. And let's just go and look at it, and there it is. There's our page. So that's page 2. We can also add a picture on here just to beautify it. We don't have to. This is generally on a book. This is where also you put a dedication up there, right? So you could say dedicated to my mom, to my girlfriend, to my dog, my favorite cat, or you could put an inspiring quote. So why not put a picture there as well? So we're going to do that again. We're going to go to File, Place, and remember in the extras folder I had this image, and I just want to put that there because it's sort of like a behind the scenes picture of just the pages. I'm going to put that there, and there it is. So I tend to have space on my book right here, so then I could do a drawing for people that buy my book. So I always give it a little bit of white space. So let's make this slightly smaller, and we can just select this frame. And remember, if we hit the Shift and Command or Shift Control on a PC and we just drag, then we can just make it proportionally smaller without distorting the image, right? And we'll just find the center right here. Just put it right there in the center. And InDesign, by default, you can see the margins and everything, but if you just want to quickly look at your design without all these like frame boxes and the margins, while not on the text tool, if you hit the W key, you can see quickly just a preview of what you have. Okay, we are going to page 3 now on our pages panel, and we can see that we have our cover, we have our copyright page, And now we're just going to finish our book by just placing all the images on there. So I'm going to go to File, Place, go to my Digital Links folder, go to my Art Pages, and remember we have page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we are going to go Open. And now all I have to do is go page 2 there, drag, and I can bring the next one in, and the next one, and then just drag. And you can see I'm just going to the very corner and I'm placing the images there. I'll probably have to fix them a bit. And my final page, I see that I need one more page. So I'm going to just click this and drop it here for now. And then I'm going to go to my Pages panel up here. And down at the bottom, there's a little plus sign. And I can just create one more page. And now I can drag this over here. And that fits perfectly there. So there's all my pages. Now remember, I created margins. So let's fix that next. Okay, we've placed all our images. And now we just have to go in here. And on page 3, that's where we're at right now, you notice that this is a slightly bigger, so I need to make sure that this edge right here goes into this margin area. So this is going to fit inside. I have to make this smaller. And again, this is just simple Command Shift or Control Shift down at the corner, and then just proportionally, nice and slow. You can see what I'm doing. I've just made it so then the edges of my page go to the margin, right? And I will do that throughout the whole book. So far we have our pages here, and you can see that what I did was I reduced the artwork so then it fit right in my margin area right here, right? Down this area right here, this is my margin. So that's what I've done. But what if I want page numbers on there? I could grab my text tool up here and I could just drag a little box and then type in page 1 if I wanted to, right? Or I could just do 1 and then I could go center, you know, like we could just put it centered on here like this, right? But that's not really going to work, because then I'd have to do it for every single page, type 1, type 2, type 3. And what if I change my layout or I add another page? Then it's going to throw off my pages. So I'm going to delete that. And what I'm going to do is show you master pages. Master pages is part of the Pages panel. And what you do is, you see where it says A Master up here, you click on that, and now notice that we still have all our pages over here, but we're not in this section, we're in this upper section, the master area. So in the master area, anything that gets repeated, you can put in there. So for example, page numbers, or maybe you wanted your logo down at the bottom all the time, or maybe the title of the book and the page number. So Speak Softly, page 1. We could do that over and over, and it would be on every single page. So how do we do that? We can go here to the text tool over here and just click on that and drag a little text frame, right? And then we'll go back to the move tool up here, the selection tool, to select this, and we will place it down at the bottom here like that. And notice that when I hover over, when I place my frame, there's a line that comes up, and that's because it's telling me that is the center right there. And now I've placed that, right? Again, there it is, that's the center. And I'm just going to put it just right there at the corner there. And I will now select this, right? And just click in there with my text tool. Because it's a text frame, if I double click inside, notice that as soon as I double click inside, it makes a cursor. This is where my page number would go. So we're about to create our page numbers, and the way we do it is we select this where the cursor is, then we can right click, and then you will see that it says paste all these different things. We can paste like an image, just like we were doing bringing it in, but in this case what we want to do inside that text box is to insert a special character. Okay, so we go in there, and then we go to markers. Because we want to mark where we're at, we put in current page number. And what it does is it gives you the letter A, because there's only right now one master page, and it is on a master, so that's why there's that letter A. Right now, that page number, we can put it anywhere we want. We could put it in the corner if we want. We could put it here. I tend to put my pages right in the center, but you notice this is not in the center. So I select, double click that. So then I've selected my letter, and then I can then go to the top up here. You see this whole area right here? That's the control bar. You can see here that it says align left, align center, and that's the one I click, and now my text is right in the center. Remember, if I double click again, right, select the type, I can go up here and I can make any kind of font that I want, right? So then whatever font I have, I'll just use Myriad. So I'll just go there, and there's my page number. Now just the letter A, but notice that when I go to page 1 and I double click on that page 1 here, you can't see it because this image is there, and I don't want to see it anyway because it's the cover. And then we have page 2, right? There's page 3, there's page 4. So that's the master pages. Our book is pretty much finished yet. We won't add any native InDesign animations yet, but we will go to page 6 and or page 7 here, and this page right here is a JPEG, just a flat page. You can see here on our links right here that it's a JPEG, but what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with a animated GIF. So let's just go here, and to replace it we just select it. We go to place, and then we navigate to the animation folder. Remember, we have the links. Go to the animation, look for the animated GIF, and we click on there, and there we go. So there it is. It's now, you can see here that it is a GIF now, it's not a JPEG. And then we're going to export to PDF. So there it is. We're going to put it on our desktop. We will go to interactive PDF and just save. I had made one before, and everything looks good. We just click export, and there's our PDF right there, so we can just set that book and share it with our friends. So Acrobat sometimes doesn't pick up the animated GIFs, but at least you have already your book here. We're on page 3, and we're going to add some animation to it. I won't do all of it, but what I want to show you is that we can use native animation tools in InDesign. So first of all, I'll bring one of the animation assets. I'll go to File, Place, and then I go to my animation folder, which is here already, and I'm just going to use this panel 2. So what I did was I processed all my images, so I cut up individual panels of each on the page. So here's this panel, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it here, I'm going to make it by hitting the Shift Command key, make it so then it's approximately the same size as the other one. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but what you can see is I have put one on top of the other of the original page, and while this is selected, I will go to my window, interactive, animation, and then I will get this animation panel, and I'm not going to do all of them, but I'll show you. I've selected this image, and then the preset that I have right here, I'm going to pick a preset, and I'm going to make it fly in from the bottom. Okay, so you can see here is a preview of what it does, and there's this little icon down here where if I click on this, it's like a little TV icon. I can actually see a preview of what my page is going to look like. So I'll enlarge the preview window and click the play button, and then I can see what's going to happen. Do you see that? And you could do that with all the panels by bringing in the next one. Instead of the right, I will make it move left. That'll be better. That way it'll go off frame. And let's click on this again. And you can see that now it did some animation. So I'm just doing those two. And now, remember we placed an animated GIF on page 7, right? This page right here has rain in the story, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place a sound file down at the bottom here, and it's as simple as putting a picture. You just go here to place, and we navigate to our folder, the digital links, right? And what we want is the audio file. We select that, we click on this, and then we just place it. And there it is right there. So we're just going to place it underneath right there, and it should play on its own. And what we want to do is we go to Window, right, Interactive, and then Media, because this is a sound file. We want to make sure it loops, so that way it just plays and over every time you open it, and play on load. So as soon as that page opens, it will play. And that's all we really have to do for this file. Let's just save, and then we export again. And this time, instead of an interactive PDF, we will go a fixed layout PDF, and let's give it a try. So we will save. This is the ePub. Everything should be ready for you. So you don't, all you have to do is just press play, go OK. And because I'm on a Mac, it will open automatically on Apple iBooks. And let's just see if it worked. There's our page. There's our animation. There's a static page. Static page. You hear the rain, and you can see the animation here. And that, guys, is our book. Now all we do is we just view it in an Apple iPad. We can transfer it there through Dropbox or anything, and that is how you do a digital book. So we've run out of time, but hopefully you learned how to make a basic electronic booklet, and then jumped into at least an introductory on how to do a little more complex fixed layout ePub. I have included some material for you, as I mentioned, in the workshop files folder, which you'll have downloads for, and then there's material on there on how to animate with a little more detail, and also sort of resources on how to put your stuff up in Dropbox and different servers, so then you people can download your material. And then finally, I have these links right here, which will also be in a PDF format in the resources folder that I'll provide. But basically, where you can get desktop comic book readers, ePub readers, as well as links to selling your ePub and where you can store it. And then if you're interested in my work, you can check me out at freshbrewedillustration.com. And of course, continue checking out VanCaf and going to probably the greatest event in Canada. Amazing. All right, guys, take care and thank you.